Hello, one and all. It is so good to see you tonight. We are in the shop of Wood Spun Around. I'm Doug, and we are going to have a great time tonight. I put in the title, Turning Some Mystery Wood. What will it be? Well, I've decided what the mystery wood is. Mystery wood is cherry. Oh, hold on. Good night. Got to go over here. There we go. Now, now. We're in good shape. Okay, the mystery wood was cherry. I've dealt with that long enough now, and I know what the mystery wood is, and so and it's got some checks and whatnot. It's a pretty piece of wood, so I'm going to cast that cherry in some with some resin, just to fill in all those cracks and make sure everything is good to go, so it won't fall apart on us. But tonight, it's still a mystery. What are we going to turn? We've got two choices. One is for a piece of desert olive wood. Let me go to the overhead camera, and that you might have a little bit better. If I can find my mouse. Well, I declare. My mouse has
I'm still
disappeared.
seeing you, okay?
Yeah, there it is. There we go. There's the desert olive wood. And that can be turned into a bowl. Or our other choice is some box elder. Get it so it's not glaring. It's got some nice flame in it, and that one would be a goblet. That's a tall one. So here in just the next couple of minutes, you guys start putting your what you would like to see, whether it's a bowl or a goblet, into the chat. And speaking of chat, let me bring my partners in crime in. We've got Queen Ruby, and I've got to say that twice. Queen Ruby. She got repeat on the end of her name, so we'll make sure we get that in there. And then there's
I'm
Wayne
gonna have
Fast.
to change that.
Good
Spell it
evening,
out, baby.
everybody.
Wayne is, as everybody knows, Wayne the woodturner, master of everything round. So, Wayne
Yeah,
Ruby,
I
glad
wish.
to have you. Well, closer than I am. Wayne and Ruby, I'm so glad to have you guys with us tonight. I'm going to go ahead and put you in the background for right this minute. And so far, I'm not seeing anybody say bowl or goblet, either one. Um,
I've
Yeah,
got, I've
Zed
gotten,
said goblet.
yeah, I've
Alan
gotten
Goblet.
three of
Dawson's.
the goblet.
Yeah, I've got
Okay, we'll
three
go
saying
goblet.
goblet at the moment.
We'll go goblet. That's fine. That's the olive would be fine. I've
Yeah,
gone ahead and I've
Mark's just come in and he said goblet as well.
all right. I've already put a tenon on this so that we can just to save us some time, um, not to cheat or get ahead of the game at all. But I did want to go ahead and get the tenon done. And I may have to redo that. No, it's tightening up. I thought maybe it was too long there for a second, but it's just short enough.
For Christmas, we'll have to ask your wife to get you another chuck.
Well, I've got that one. I've got that one. I've got one, two, maybe three others over there. I need a more modern chuck, that's for sure. Everything I've got is old. But like I said on a couple of other things, they're paid for, and so I don't complain too much.
That's always a bonus.
Yeah,
Absolutely. That's the one
absolutely.
good thing about this hobby is that it can pay for itself.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Uh, now that I think about it and see what's going on, I am going to redo this tenon. I'm just not happy with it. And I'd rather redo it and be happy with it and be confident in it than to not.
Right, while you're doing that, I'll see who's in the chat.
Yes, why don't you do that?
Oh, it's gone all the way back to I haven't got it was at the right at the beginning, but it's not now. I know Paul Finley was in there first, then Ruby, and now it's jumped down a fair bit. So if I do happen to miss you, I apologise. Pop something into the chat, and I'll catch you again. But we've got Dale in, Old Man River, Roger Kent, Fred Gilliver, James Crawford, Andy Door 60, Gerard's in, Brent's in, Todd, Brian with a Y. Zed's here. Evening, Zed. Pete, Twisted Trees is in. Albert Dawson. Barry Chiddy. Ward Wilson from the west coast of Arizona. Heather's in from Spirit Wind, Woodstone and Bone. And Mark's in as well. I did mention Mark earlier. Alan Gibb. Raymond Wise. Bert's Bulls, that's a new name. I haven't seen that name before.
I know Birch Bowls. He has a B as his logo.
Zed's saying that I can't have any wine until I've got a goblet to pour it in. Right. Zed has also said, if you lie, Right, I'll read it as it's written. If you lie, depended on the choice, and you could only have one chuck, which one would you choose?
If I could only have one chuck, starting with a fresh, brand new one, I'd go with an
Yeah.
Easy Wood tool chuck.
Those are good. I have to say I really like my Vic Marks.
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
Ruby's
Big
put the
marks
Vic
are
Marks
great.
in.
The only reason I say I would go with a Easy Wood, the ease of changing the jaws.
That's very true.
Yeah, you can have one chuck and a full complement of jaws, and you know
Yes,
it's so, they're so
my approach is you just have a different chuck for each set of jaws.
Yeah, but that gets really, really expensive. If you go the Easy Wood route, you've only got one chuck, but you've got the separate jaws, and it only takes seconds to change.
That's true. But I started doing all the chucks before Easy Wood came out with theirs.
Yeah, well, seeing that, I can't afford an Easy Wood chuck anyway. Rich Baldock is in, and he said, "Man, if I didn't know better, that looks like a 1624 with a DVR upgrade." Talking about your lathe, Doug.
You might be right. You might be right.
I agree, Todd. Chucks are like clamps. You can never have enough.
Never have enough. Yeah, that's true.
No, that's true. That's one reason I've got as many chucks as I've got. I've got with 3 lathes, 2 of them are 1 inch by 8 spindles,
That's enough.
and then this one is 1 1/4 by 8. So I've got chucks for those, the different sizes. And then I've also got multiples on each size because of the jaws, not wanting to change them back and forth.
I've got to say, for 90% of the work I do, I only use one set of jaws.
Right.
I guess I can't say that. Mine vary significantly, but then I do a wide variety of work, and a lot of it's commission work. So when it's spindles, of course, then it's all between centers.
Yeah. And Mark said having a different chuck for each set of jaws is quite acceptable. Yeah, but you're paying what over here for a decent chuck that will take different sets of jaws. You're paying 150 just for the chuck
Yes.
without any jaws.
Well, fortunately, I bought most of mine before the prices got outrageous.
Mark's also said I can neither confirm nor deny that I may or may not have 8 chucks now. What have I got? I've got 1, 2, 3,
Well, as you
4,
increase
5,
in the number of
6.
lathes,
Hold up.
lathes that you have.
I've actually got 6.
Well, I have 7 lathes, so I know I have more than 7 chucks.
But I've got 1 chuck that is purely for the VB36.
Right.
But it's an Axminster chuck, and it's an old Axminster chuck, and it will take every set of jaws that Axminster do anyway. And all my jaws are on separate jaw carriers.
Now, are most of your spindles M33?
Yeah, sorry, Ruby, I missed a bit of that.
Are most of your spindles an M33?
Yes, well, I've got my Axminster lathe, that's M33. I have got a smaller lathe, which is an inch B8. Oh, I've got a chuck for that as well. But the VB36 is a 3-point fastening. It's
Okay.
not a thread.
Now, mine are either 1.25 or 1 inch.
Right.
All right. Jamie would be awfully proud of this. Using my Easy Wood rougher.
And Heather's saying she's hoping there's going to be a sale on at the Hamilton Woodworking Show this week. Is that the one you're going to, Ruby?
Pardon?
The Hamilton Woodworking Show? Is that the one you're going to?
Right. I've heard it called the Hamilton Woodworking Show or the Toronto Woodworking Show, and it's actually in Caledonia, which is near Hamilton.
I can only think it can be in Canada because I don't know of any woodworking show in Hamilton, Scotland.
Yeah, it's going to be the 20th to the 22nd of October. And I'll be there for all 3 days.
There you go. Zed's got 2 one-way chucks. And Lucy's just come in. Hiya, Lucy. And Jennifer's in as well. Hi, Jennifer.
Hey, Jennifer, Lucy.
Jen? Yes, and Jennifer says she's going to become our Heather's going to be coming over, so hopefully I'll get to meet her. I'm still waiting for her to tell me where her cousin lives that she's coming over to visit.
And Jason Levron's in, and he's got the Nova G3 chucks.
Good
And
chuck.
he's answering Rich saying, or he's asking Rich, can you buy Nova G3 chuck alone without the jaws?
Yes.
Yes, you can.
I was looking at them last night.
I have several of those as well. And they work just fine.
I believe that tool's getting a little dull.
Right, Zed's losing the plot here. He said one way, but he meant Nova.
There's a significant difference between the two.
Yeah, there is.
He's
Come
from
on,
the West
Zed.
Coast. He's from the West Coast. You can forgive that.
There we go. Starting to get somewhere now.
Ward, Arizona is not exactly on the west coast.
Yeah, but that's what he tells everybody, though.
You're
Well,
you're still quite a few miles from the ocean. California, now that's west coast.
but Arizona does have a west coast.
Well, true.
It's not the west coast of the country.
And Jennifer's put in there. This is to Heather. That's Jennifer has met Ruby, and she's such a lovely lady. And she also managed to get one of Ruby's turnings as well.
That was at the show in downtown London. I hadn't brought anything that I had intended to sell, and she talked me into it.
All right. Oh, Yappy's just come in. Hi, Yappy.
Hey, Yappy. Yeah, this is the one issue I have with this chuck, is that it is can be difficult to get things tight and stay tight.
I had one of those chucks and I gave it away, and believe it or not, it's come back 3 times.
Really. There we go.
And Ben's in as well. Evening, Ben.
Hey, Ben.
Hi, Ben.
If I think of the joke, I ran across a good one for you, Ben. NZ.
Chris Nealon's just come in.
Hey, Chris. All right, let's see. I've got to get rid of this elbow stabber, sometimes called a live center. And the tailstock, because it'll be in my way. There we go.
I like the new range of stab centers for both the headstock and the tailstock that Record Power has now come out with. Their back
Yeah,
they're,
really.
yeah, the back ends of them have very long screws for making the adjustment of the center pin. And,
Yeah.
Okay.
and they don't tend to vibrate loose like many of the others do. Maybe you could change the camera angle, Doug, so we can see where you're hollowing.
That ought to be better.
There you
Oh,
go.
that's a whole lot better.
And Alex of Wooden Things has just come in.
Hey,
Yeah.
Alex. It is really good to have all of you along with me today. It's
And Mike from Dances with the Aardvarks has just come in as well.
hey, Mike.
Hey, Mike. Doug,
Yes,
have
ma'am.
you ever tried cutting the end grain from the center outward?
Yes, I have. And I usually do that.
Who just come in? Oh, David from Webfoot Resin and Wood Creation has just come in as well.
All right, Webfoot, David. David's another one. I got so used to calling him Webfoot or Web. Sometimes it's hard for me to go back to David.
I'll just let people know that I'll not be having a live this Saturday night. There's a whole bunch of us going up to Dale's from Maple Tree Studios for a makers meetup and barbecue this weekend.
Okay.
All right.
And I am looking forward to meeting up with Heather. at the show. And Ben has corrected me. We can't call them STEB centers. I guess the original STEB center is the only one that can hold that name.
Yeah, they're what
And,
crown centers or multi-spur centers or
yeah, something like that.
Multi-spur works.
Enchanted Wood Designs has just come in. Good evening.
that's Kevin, I
Good
do
evening.
believe.
That's
Jane
Andrew.
Hurst has joined us as well.
Oh, Andrew is here. AGQ Woodworks is in.
Hey, still at work, Precious?
Yeah, I find those multi-spurred centers are extremely good, especially if you have to turn spindles that have been glued up.
Yeah. I don't think I haven't used my original drive center for years. I always use the step center, drive center, and live tail center as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've switched over, especially for all my commercial turning of balusters and newel posts. They hold that much better.
Yeah, and
Yes, they do.
Andrew said he is just about to leave work, Doug.
All right.
Yeah, if they can hold on a spindle without you having to over tighten it, I find you get much less vibration and cleaner cut.
So Rich Baldock is answering a couple of people here. Somebody asked him about dome jaws for their chucks, and he said he's working with Jeff from Walnut Log on some designs, and dome jaws is one of them. Dewey Shed's just come in, as has JP as well. Hiya, Jamie.
Good to see you, Jamie. Hi, Dewey.
And JP
Hey,
said,
JP.
Doug, did you know you got accepted by the Easy Wood Tools? You're welcome.
Yes. That's I was kind of hanging on to that, but that's okay. Talked with Chris at Easy Wood Tools the other day for about an hour, and the only thing I'm waiting on now is my welcome kit, basically. Part of the application.
Heather said she thinks she met Ruby before she started turning at the Toronto Woodworking Show, maybe 10 years ago at the International Centre.
It's quite possible. I was demonstrating even back then.
And
That-
Shane's in. I must have missed him coming in.
One of the questions on the application for being an Easy Wood Tool demonstrator was, have you used them and which tools do you have? So I listed them out the way I knew to list them. This I know as a CI0. Well, come to find out, they don't call it's the cutter that's called the CI0 now, not the bar. But I was there when this was thought about. So,
And the
anyway,
professor's just come in as well.
Hey, Professor.
Hi,
So
Professor.
I'm having to learn all the new nomenclature and all of that while I'm waiting. And he wanted me to send a picture because I'd given him all this old nomenclature. So I did, and he sent back a message that said, "You've got some classic tools there."
I hate to say it, Doug, but I ran into the same situation. That was how I called mine.
Did you really? Of course, I was here in Kentucky when Chris came out with the tools, and he was a part of a group that all met in southern Indiana, we had a weekend together. We had 2 weekends together, about a year apart. And Chris brought the tools over, and that is not Chris, Craig Jackson. And almost all of us went home with tools after the very first weekend. And many of us went over to Owensboro to see his shop and to see the tools being made. And I even sat in the living room for about 30 minutes where they packaged them at the time. Um, so anyway, as Chris and I were talking, we got to get you up to speed on the new naming. Easy for me to say. New nomenclature, so that you call them by the right things. So I've been working all last week and over the weekend. The rougher, the finisher, detailer, full size, mid size, micro, mini, starter, pro. Thank you, Jamie.
You better write them all down.
I've got them all printed. I've got the whole catalog printed. So we'll get there. We'll get there. And which
Yeah,
cutters go on which tools, and so that'll
Zed
be
has
starting up
said
pretty soon.
Zed said regardless of who makes it, no tool is worth anything unless it's the 5000 series.
Hmm.
All right. I've got this cup straightened out.
Is your dust extractor on?
No, I didn't even turn it on. I could do that. Makes life a little easier. Except I can't hear anything.
And Mark's put in for the nomenclature round cutty thing, square cutty thing, not quite square cutty thing, pointy cutty thing, U-shaped cutty thing, Bernie thing, chuck holding thing.
That works pretty well.
Yeah, pretty well.
We all knew exactly what he was referring to.
Can you bring the other one then?
There
Oh,
we go.
thank you, Beth. Sorry, I was speaking to June there.
Mark, I thought you were going to join us backstage.
Zed's put in, this is answer to Mark. Don't forget the Turner's tutu thing.
Oh, that's too funny.
I don't think he'll ever live that one down.
No. Several of us will make sure of that.
And JP has put in better than a gougey thing.
Thank you.
Now, Mark said he'd love to join us, but he's flat out busy.
Yeah, he's sorting the workshop out, ready for a new arrival.
And Lucy put in, and the fluffy thing.
Oh yeah, the fluffy thing, definitely.
It's a good thing we woodturners all have a good sense of humor.
Yeah.
Comes with the
If we didn't,
territory.
we'd be in trouble. Okay. That was 150. We'll go to 240 here.
Jimmy said, flat out, Mark, sugar levels bad again. To which Mark has replied, now, you've got to know this. Sugar levels? We don't need no stinking sugar levels.
I just
Ben,
had my traditional chicken salad lunch, so I'm in great shape.
Ward pointed out no one saw that sandpaper disappear.
Yeah, the vacuum monster ate it real quick. Real quick. Get my tool rest back in order here. That's one
Ben,
nice thing about keeping my stock of sandpaper close is I can grab it real quick when that happens.
now you
Doesn't
might
happen
have
too
to
often.
change cameras again now if
Yep.
you're going to work on the side profile.
We're just thinking the same thing.
So
Now,
Ben said, Mark's joining the two late owners club. Ruby's like, hold my beer.
definitely hold my beer. Now, do you have a ball or something you can put in the center of your goblet?
No, I do have a soft touch to go on the end of my live center, and I'll probably pull that up here in just half a second.
Okay. That was one advantage I found of having a puppy around. There are lots of balls around that you can borrow and use for that.
We
Right.
see Doug usually, when Doug's doing his longer goblets, the longer thin stem goblets, he tends to go the other way.
Yeah.
And he pulls against the goblet rather than pushing into the goblet.
And that's what I tend to do as well.
Yeah.
By
When I say thin stem, I'm talking less than 1/8 of an inch.
right,
So pulling is the only way.
absolutely. Just take a very thin piece of dowel, and if you compress it, it bends. But if
Exactly.
you pull the ends, it helps keep it straight, makes it a whole lot easier on turning. Now, for that, what I do is I put a ball in the center, bring the tailstock up, and then I tape it literally to the live center.
Mm-hmm.
And that way it's still free to turn, but it's under you're pulling
Tension.
that as opposed to compression. JP says he's got 11 lathes, but 10 of them look like screwdrivers. And Alex said he emptied his dust extraction bin yesterday and found lots of sandpaper.
It happens.
It does happen. I remember a few years ago it was now when we were at one of Dale's summer barbecues, making meetup type things, and a pencil got lost down the dust extraction and actually blocked the dust extraction up.
I haven't lost a pencil yet doing that.
Yeah, that was Scott the Blue Light Turner that did that.
Yeah. I was going to say it happened to be a blue pencil, as I remember the story.
It was a blue pencil, yes.
Now, JP has pointed out you could have the Easy Wood cone set to go on the end.
Absolutely.
Item number 12852.
Or you can have
Right?
what Captain
See,
Hayden calls a soft touch.
for something this sort of length, doing the goblet this sort of length, you could use what Doug's got there, which is just a little bit of wood that fits onto the live center, What I usually do is fold up a piece of kitchen roll and put it into the
Absolutely.
bottom of the goblet.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I probably will go back to that, put a piece of paper towel in there with that, because probably before I get this tooth in, I'll go ahead and polish this up.
That's a good idea.
Let's see. I may have to pause and go sharp in a minute here. Or, I keep forgetting which camera I'm on.
Yep, you had the
Go
right
ahead.
one. Ben
Oh, Ben.
says he likes to use a cupcake because it's absolutely useless until you get to eat it.
I worry about you sometimes, Ben.
Well, at least he's not wasting it.
Right, Albert Dawson has said he puts chicken wire inside his dust collector hose, and it catches 95% of things being sucked down there.
That's a good
And
idea.
and Zed has said, this is for you, Doug. Go for the clicks, leave it unsupported, rev the lid up high, and turn it blindfold.
I'm going to have to go back and read that one myself. Oh, me.
I'm glad he suggested you do it because I'll pass.
Well, I did try it once. There was quite a few people in the chat know Chris Fisher and have known him for years. And Chris is a blind wood turner. He's
Right.
RPT as well, and he's absolutely fantastic. And quite a few years ago, he explained how when he first started turning, when he first started doing videos and things like this, how he had to set the cameras up with pieces of string, so he knew he was getting the right angle and everything like this. And I thought I'm going to give this a go to see if I can actually do this, and I couldn't. No way at all.
Well, I can remember when I used to be a ski instructor to teach the other instructors how to teach blind skiers. What we used to do is wear blindfolds literally and use them for going up the rope and the chairlift and then coming down the hill. And it does give you a very different appreciation of how to do things.
Oh, definitely.
The thing that really got me was the one night we were out in the American West and we had blind skiers from all over the world at this. It was almost like an Olympic event for them. And in the evening, we had a dance, and all of the people that were playing instruments were from the blind. And the one lady that I had taken out was really excited because she had a date that evening. She was meeting her date in the hotel lobby, which was a very large lobby. And I'm trying to think, how is this blind woman going to meet her blind date in this large space?
Yeah.
And they did hook up, surprisingly enough. And
I bet it wasn't because he was wearing a red scarf.
You've got that right.
And Graham Haynes just come in. Evening, Graham.
Good evening, Graham.
I'll take my own suggestion and go ahead and fix up this upper end before I go any further, and then we'll put some paper towel in there to kind of protect it.
That red is showing up quite nice on the
Yeah.
box builder. We call that Manitoba maple up here.
Right. I heard another name for it just recently. Something else. It seems like it was maybe an Indian name.
Hmm.
It made perfectly good sense, whatever it was.
Over time, that red will turn brown.
Absolutely.
So when I first started turning the box elder, what I did was took an airbrush and very lightly coated the red with a red paint that wouldn't turn brown.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's a good idea.
Sure. I've several years ago, there was a fella who would do box elder, and he would use a red Sharpie, and his work came out awfully nice.
I would think that would be a little strong.
Well, Sharpie does fade too, so that was kind of his thought. Was it? Yes, it was strong at first, but 6 months later, it would look pretty natural.
I would
gonna-
like to have seen that.
Just quickly going to go through the grits on the outside as well, just to.
Now, what finish are you going to put on that?
I'm going to use my abrasive paste and wax.
Okay.
I may come back later and lacquer it, but probably will not. The one thing about lacquer, most of the rattle can lacquers have a little bit of UV protection in them, and so they work quite well.
And Rob
But,
from Copper Owls just come in.
Hey,
I
Copper,
Morning,
love,
Rob.
here we go.
He must get up very early in the morning.
and why would you say that?
Because he's in Australia.
Ah, right. I didn't realize he was from down under. And we have
Just a little alcohol there to clean it. Little sanding
According to my thing, Doug, you've got 51 people watching at the moment, but there are only 20 thumbs up.
Well, thank you all for being in. I appreciate it. Would appreciate if you go by and hit the thumbs up button. That was just a little sanding sealer. Give it a little seal up there.
Zed said, they actually spin their layers the other way down there.
I'm going to have to ask Theo if he does.
There we go. Man, it's hard to get the glare off sometimes.
That's upside down.
Turn it 180 degrees.
That's better. Yeah,
Now
tip
hold
it a bit
it
more.
away.
That's it.
There.
That's it. That's it.
Phew, golly. I've almost got to turn that sideways to get the glare off.
Well, maybe if you didn't hold it up quite as high.
Maybe.
And Todd said, but I hit the thumbs up twice, Wayne.
It doesn't work
Oh,
that way,
dear.
unfortunately.
I like the shape that you've got going on that.
Just a simple wobbly shape. Yeah, they can get pretty frou-frou at times. Typically, I like to do them a little more plain. Where I have a lot of fun is getting the glass ones and turning a stem for them.
And JP said, do it for Oh, wait. Lol.
Pennsylvania. Yeah, do it for Pennsylvania.
And Graham wants to know if this is going to have a captive ring.
No.
I guess that
I love
answers
answers
that.
like that.
I tend to.
I like really positive answers like that.
I tend to go along with Pete's philosophy on captive rings. They're interesting. They can be done. They're not that hard, but why? Now, for a wedding gift for a bride and groom, do a goblet with 2 interlocking rings, maybe.
Yeah, that's a different aspect.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So Enchanted Wood Designs said, advice, never drop the ring tool onto a concrete floor.
That's good
Hmm.
advice.
If it's like other tools, they have this tendency to land right on the point.
And Ben has said, captive rings are only allowed when Peter's watching.
There is that aspect. Let's just aggravate Pete. Oh, me. That's all of that. Turn that down just a shade. And we'll use a little. There we go. If I get it down, yes, you're right, Ruby. I can. Except it's got to be that way.
Correct. We'll get you turned right way around.
Oh, exactly. Eventually.
And Todd and Glen Clover said, RPTs should be able to turn a captive ring on a captive ring.
Absolutely, no problem at all.
Actually, it's not really a problem, is it? Thinking about it.
No,
No,
it's not.
And Jamie said, never put a captive ring tool in a bucket and forget about it, and then walk into it. It digs into the back of your leg.
wonder how he found that out.
Or if you are going, if you are going to put it into a bucket, put pointy head down.
That would be a smart idea. I was invited to do a demonstration at the Kentucky State Fair several years ago. Our club had a little place there that they had a lathe set up. And anyway, I went and I did my thing. I didn't have a schedule. There was nobody to tell me what was going on. So I did my turnings for about an hour, hour and a half. Started to clean up, and this guy comes up and he says, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm cleaning up after my demo." He says, "I'm with Toyota Robotics. We're about to bring out a robot, and he's supposed to be in a dust-free environment at all times. And so I'm going to ask you not to clean up. And when I'm done with this demo, I'm going to put the robot away. Then I'll have maintenance, fairgrounds maintenance, come and clean up." Fine with me. So
Wow.
I packed up my stuff and watched the robot. The robot came out, no strings attached, no wires attached, no people next to him. He played the trumpet, believe it or not. That was pretty cool. See a robot play the trumpet.
There you go.
It's amazing the things they can have them do these days.
Oh my, yes. He had rubber lips that they were able to cause him to be able to actually play the trumpet.
Now Ben has just said he had about 12 tools stored tipped down in a bucket in his garage. Then he had a roof leak right above the said bucket, completely ruined, pitted several millimeters deep.
Wow.
That would be heartbreaking.
Yes. Okay. Back to turning this lovely goblet. I'm going to go back to my number one hollower here.
Jimmy says, in answer to your thing about the robot, You think that's amazing? You should see somebody of AGK's size turn a ball.
That reminds me, I saw a Facebook post today. Somebody was asking for suggestions. They had been commissioned to turn some dog bowls, and they wanted to know how to do it. I wanted so badly to say, look up AGK and you'll figure it out.
To turn what kind of bowls, Doug?
Dog bowls.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, Andrew's your man for that.
He has had an affinity here recently of turning dog bowls. Started to get out of it, and I'm glad to see that. But yeah,
Well, Maggie dog here wouldn't mind at all, as long as you put something in the bowl.
yes. Too high for that tool. There we go.
Todd said to Jamie, does he get inside to turn it? Jamie said, yeah, it's like a hamster. Oh, God. The annoying thing is that Andrew is probably on his way home at the moment and is not seeing any of this.
Right? He'll watch it back later, though.
It shows up here you've got 50 people watching you, Doug.
Thank you, one and all. I do appreciate it.
Now, Ben has come up with a thing here, and he said it's funny how as a starter turner, we all do the most difficult type of ball, which is a dog ball, because it's got straight sides. When a curved ball is so much easier. Now, I believe the reason for that is that for a lot of people when they're starting off turning, they actually buy ball blanks, and they don't want to waste any of the wood.
I think you're right.
Yep, I do too. I do too. My first turning class, one of the guys, well, the teacher wanted us to turn more of a cup shape. Not really do a bowl, but a cup shape. Um, Part of it was he was interested how many would try to go straight down the sides and then straight into the center, and most everybody did. Then we turned around and did a bowl, and lo and behold, most everybody did the same thing.
I guess it depends on how you're taught to start with.
Right?
When I was taught to do a bowl right from the beginning, I was taught to make sure it's curved, that there were no straight spots on the sides, and that it was quite rounded.
Mm-hmm.
I think when new turners are being trained, like Ruby said, when new turners are being trained, they should be trained in using curves rather than straight lines, but also to look into various aspects of design.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I can remember Ray Key being very particular on that, and how a
Yeah.
bowl, for example, the bottom of it had to look like it actually went into the table to complete the curve.
Right. Just cleaning up some of the little lines that are on the bottom of
Yeah,
this little
Enchanted
detail.
Wood Designs says curves seem to be easy, or so you think, but it takes practice to figure out how. At least it was for him.
Yeah.
I think the hard part for people is learning to look at the top of the piece to see the profile instead of watching the tool cutting the wood.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
I'll bet right now that most of the people watching you, Doug, are watching the tool cutting the wood as opposed to looking above.
Right. And I'm looking up here.
Right.
Yeah, you get too fixated on the tool and you can miss some of the issues that you need to take care of that are visible.
Well, when I learned how to turn from Alan Batty, he would come by and hold a paper over your tool so that you could not see where it was touching the wood.
Right.
And you had to learn to go by feel and by looking at the top profile. And that
Oh,
was
that's a bit mean.
probably one of the best lessons I ever had.
I bet.
And Lucy said the first thing she was taught was curves.
Good for her.
That's probably just after she met Andy. Yeah, Ben said, and this is another good point as well. The hard part is getting the curve you want on the last cut and not introducing a step.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why, obviously, Ben does watch me a lot, which is why whenever I do the finishing cut, I always try and do the finishing cut in one go from start to finish.
Right.
Yeah, that final cut is so important, and most people don't even begin to realize how important that is to go start to finish with the grain.
Well, it is the most important, right? On especially on bowls, really, it doesn't matter how rough you are, getting the actual curve, getting the shape you want. It doesn't really matter how rough the piece is up to that point, but the finishing cut actually makes it.
Yes,
Yeah,
it does.
that's
Old
exactly right.
man, Old Man River says that he's never taken a class or lesson as he lives too far from any club or woodworking store. And my advice would be to instead of taking a vacation, going down, sitting on a sandy beach, take a week and go take a week's classes somewhere with someone. You'd be amazed at what you'll learn in that time period.
Yes, yes.
And if you want to make it an exotic class, just message me and I'll tell you where to go overseas to get some good lessons. And Todd says that he started turning using branches too, but then the neighbors started getting suspicious.
Zed said he likes the shape of the goblet, Doug.
Thank you,
Ward
Zed.
said that he learned from YouTube. There's a hell of a lot of great stuff you can learn from YouTube, but there's also some bad stuff as well. One of the best beginner courses that I watched on YouTube was Mike Walt. He did a good few years ago now, but it's still accessible on YouTube. He did a great beginner course on YouTube. Well, thank you, Zed. Appreciate it.
It's kind of nice, isn't it, Wayne, to know that people actually listen to you sometimes?
To tell you the truth, Ruby, with the amount of talking the earworms do, I'm surprised anybody learns anything.
Are you saying we should shut up?
No. I'm talking about my lives.
So, some of that falls on you, doesn't it?
Enchanted Wood Designs has said watching YouTube like this for ideas or how to is fine, but seeing a live demo you can pick up so much. I think they're both about the same thing. A live demo like Doug's doing here on YouTube is very similar to seeing a live demo in actually live.
Yes.
Apart from with a live demo live, you can ask more questions and get immediate answers. But it does not beat actually going and having a one-on-one lesson with somebody.
That's true.
I think a one-on-one is the best way to go. And I prefer watching on a screen like this to watching a live demo and you're at the back of a room with 60 other people.
Okay, right. Zed has said again. For example, I learned from Wayne the last step in turning the yarn bowl is to remove it from the layers and throw it aggressively into the darkest corner of the workshop. Yeah, remember that one?
Oh dear.
Ben's asking if you're in a basement, Doug.
Yes. Yes. My bedroom is directly over my head.
Yeah, the Doug's workshop's in the basement. Ruby's workshop is also in her basement.
Well, that way we have heating and cooling. Like
This
right
is
now,
true.
it's close to 100 degrees outside, but downstairs it's probably about 65.
There you go. Alex of Wooden Thing said he started watching Mike, Captain Eddie, and me. Thank you. Lucy did a 2-day course on the basics down at Yandles with somebody called Paul. No surname there. Gerard did a 1-day course with a professional turner in West Cork in Ireland. Got all the rest from people on YouTube and the Wood Turning 360 Club.
I've got to.
JP said that Martin Saban Smith got him into turning, and then he found Mike Walt, Robbie the wood turner, plus others, including yourself, Wayne. Then he saw Carl Jacobson, and things went south.
Things went what? South?
Yes, things went south. Now I've got to say, I've got to say at this point that Jamie and Carl are the best of friends.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know who enjoys giving who the dickens worse.
Now Heather
So
wants to know some good
yeah, that's
prices
just what I was
for
going to say,
lesson.
Ruby. Go on.
She has to let me know where in Ontario because you realize that Ontario is about the size of Great Britain. So it depends on where you're at to know where people are to send you. If you're headed down to Southern Ontario, stop by here.
I'm just grabbing some pliers so that I can get my glue
I've got
separated.
to ask Heather, where are you based?
I've been trying to get her to tell me that for some time. Besides in her basement.
All right.
Graham says he's
Graham
too tight
Haynes
to pay
said
for lessons.
he's too tight to pay for lessons. Sooner buy more tools. Heather's saying she's near Barry.
Barry is up towards Northern Ontario. In which case I would send her up to see Dave Bell.
I know where she is on Wednesday nights. She's at the hospital on Wednesday nights. Takes her breaks and comes in on to our Wednesday night group. Sometimes shares what she's been working or what she's been working on.
Right,
Well,
Heather is in Muskoka.
okay, if she messages me on Messenger, I'll get a hold of Dave Bell and send her his email or his email address. I'm in Windsor, Ontario, the most southern point in Ontario, in Canada, in fact.
Mm-hmm.
It's where the Great Lakes come down towards a point.
Just
And
across the
Dale,
river from polluted
yeah,
Detroit City.
Right.
Dale's asking where in Ontario are you, Ruby?
Yeah,
Or did
and
you just answer that?
just answered that. I'm in Windsor. And we don't have a castle here. I really like the shape of that, Doug.
Well, thank you. Bring my tailstock back up. Had a inclusion there in that piece, and that when it came up high enough where it's included in the foot. So just let that solidify just a bit. Spray a little accelerator on it.
If you have anything like this that Doug's just had there, and he's fixed this with CA glue, if you don't want the CA glue to show, there's a couple of things you can do. Number one, you can do the CA glue, then do a final cut. And number two, if you're down to the sanding process, you can put sanding sealer on before you put the CA glue on, and that'll usually stop the CA glue showing in the wood.
Yeah, I'm just really getting started on the sanding. That's so I wasn't too worried about it. It will mostly sand off.
Todd said he doesn't know if his skills have improved watching the crazy cast of characters in this group, but he's been greatly entertained. Nice one,
That-
Todd.
Then
That's
it's
good.
worth it. It's definitely worth it if you've been entertained.
And
Many of you folks,
Zed said it's not going to hold enough wine for Wayne, but otherwise it's a nice little goblet.
And JP said that Wayne would have been finished by now.
I know.
It's not about speed, it's about quality.
It's exactly.
Now, did you? If anybody saw the little, no, you haven't seen it yet because I haven't released it. I've got a video coming out either tomorrow or Thursday of just a little natural edge pot, little bitty thing. I had to laugh at myself yesterday. I had the thing turned completely from rough in about 15 minutes. Actually, it's about 12 minutes. And then it took me about 45 to sand and polish. So, you know, I've never
Andrew's
had to
back
worry
in.
too much about it.
Andrew's back in. He's just got home.
Hey, Andrew,
Hi,
we hadn't talked.
Andrew.
I've got to see Andrew. You've got to watch this back just to see what Jamie was saying about you.
I was going to say, we hadn't talked too bad about you much.
Now, Doug, I'll just add in here that if somebody wanted to use this goblet to actually put real alcohol in it or whatever,
Uh-huh.
what they could use on the inside is called Rustins, Rustins,
Right?
and it's a resin, and you just you mix it together and you just put it in and just sort of roll it around until it covers the inside, and that'll help it hold up against the alcohol or whatever you put into it.
Absolutely. I looked into getting Rustins for that very reason. We cannot get Rustins in the United States.
Did you
All
try
right. Okay.
Did you try Amazon?
Not in the United States. I cannot get it. It's a Sherwin-Williams product. I even called them. It's listed in their list of products, and they acknowledge it, but it's not. They cannot sell it in the United States.
Oh, that's odd.
I
You'll have
don't
With
know.
with the amount of resin that does get sold in the States, I find that very odd.
Yeah. I don't know. It may have something to do with licensing. I don't know. The guy was not real pleasant on the phone, didn't want to answer questions.
Hmm.
So I asked what I could, and when he got tired of me, I just said, "Thank you, bye." Um, so, um, I'm
That's
sure.
in,
Well, I know there are some food safe resins out there that we can get here that would work just fine. So,
well, one of my trips to England, I picked up a couple of containers of it and threw them in my suitcase and brought them home.
there you go. There you go.
If you imagine in the past, if you can think back as far as I can, wooden goblets were used for drinking centuries ago. So what
Yes.
type of finish did they use on them?
Mostly beeswax.
Now, in I think it was the mid-90s. It must have been 90. In fact, probably 96, 97, I think it was. I got asked to do a set of goblets for a medieval wedding as favors. You know how at weddings they put favors out on the tables.
Right.
So I did 75 goblets, all the same, from ash, and I did two larger goblets from Purple Heart for the bride and groom, and they were actually used at the wedding. And all I used was tongue oil as a finish.
Well, for the same time period, I had to do a set of goblets for the same reason for a wedding.
Being in Kentucky, we had a lot of pioneer settlements like
Right.
Boonesboro and other places like that, frontier type of settlements. They always had folks who made their train wear in all those forts, all those settlements. And I've read several times, a lot of times in those frontier places, no finish. They would turn out a goblet or a cup and just use it.
Right.
No, that's the same as doing. I've done quite a few baby rattles over the years as well, and I have never put a finish, any sort of
Right.
finish, on a baby rattle.
Hmm.
Yeah, my dad and I have done 2x4 toys. We've done them several years, and he's still doing them. I think his woodworking club. Um, anyway, no finish on them. Just 2x4 with wood wheels, dowel axles. No finish whatsoever. For a couple of reasons. One, it's food safe. Wood is naturally food safe and mouth toothing safe. And you don't know about all these finishes. You don't know what
Now,
child's going to be
there
allergic
was,
to.
I used to be a trainer within the care sector and used to used to train food hygiene. And as part of the training I did, which was again in the sort of early 2000s and stuff, there was a project done at the University of Wisconsin in 1996, I think it was,
Yep.
looking at wooden chopping boards and plastic chopping boards
Yes.
and how bacteria is affected by wood and by plastic. And what they did, they got a load of different types of wooden chopping boards, they got a load of different types of plastic ones, and actually put bacteria on them. And within 24 hours, with the wooden chopping boards, bacteria had died on a lot of
Mm-hmm.
the different types of woods, and on the plastic that actually grown.
Yes.
So you are better off if you are going to be using chopping boards and stuff in your kitchen. Use wood.
Yeah, the only wood I wouldn't recommend that with is walnut. For the same
Yeah,
reason, you don't use walnut shavings around animals or put it into your garden.
You have got other woods as well. If you go onto the wood database, you can look into there is a section there which will tell you the different types of toxicity in different types of woods.
Right.
That wood database is a wealth of information.
Yeah, Zed's just put in there. You could put shellac on baby rattle. If it's safe
Absolutely.
enough for M&M candies, it should be safe enough for that.
All that, and I forgot one major thing. Finish on the stem and base. But there you have it. Let's switch around here. There we
Right,
go.
now there's been a couple of other things coming here. Now, I always mention whenever I'm training you about the toxicity of you because it is quite toxic. But there is a wood turner from the southwest of England, and his name has just gone. But there was a post on Facebook, quite a while back, a good few months ago, about the toxicity of you and everything. And he turned around and said that he has used a U cereal bowl for his breakfast cereal for the past 30 odd years, and he's still fine.
That's interesting.
Oh God, what's his name? He does the Ruby. Don't know if you can remember. He does the sounding bowls. Hang on.
I know exactly who you mean.
I'm just going to check. Tobias K. That's him.
Tobias K. Right. And the last time I saw him, he looked just healthy and well.
Yep.
Ben says, wood is amazing, really, isn't it? Best thing since sliced bread.
Yep. Just got a little sanding mandrel here in the lathe so I can hold my cup with both hands and sand off a little nub that was left. Give myself a little more speed.
Now Gerard has said, no, Gerard's a chef. And he said when I think he's talking, he's saying HACCP, I think that's health and safety, came in the run of the kitchen. This is only plastic chopping boards. Now you can use wooden ones as they realised that bacteria in wood was more hygienic. Now in the again in the 90s and everything, when all the plastic stuff was starting to come out for chopping boards, a lot of the butcher shops had to get rid of their wooden chopping blocks. But now they've actually come back. All the butcher shops now have actually brought back the wooden chopping blocks.
I can remember the first time I did one of those craft shows, and I had a bunch of salad bowls out. There was a chap came by, and he said he was a health and safety inspector, and he pointed out to me that if you sold a salad.
That's a bit loud, Doug.
He pointed out that if you sold a salad bowl that had a crack or a void in it, that he would pull them off because they weren't safe.
Okay, yeah, that is probably understandable.
Yep. There is a large sandwich chain here in the U.S. They have a company policy of wearing gloves while they're making sandwiches, and I'm glad they do. However, at the same time, when they came out with that policy, there was a big article saying that they had proven, the National Health Department had proven, it's more sanitary for food workers to wash their hands than it was to wear plastic gloves. So, what do you do?
The thing with that is, Doug, is that a lot of these people, when they're wearing gloves and making sandwiches, they don't change the gloves in between each sandwich they're making.
Right.
True.
Or they handle money or
Or
Yeah.
they cut their hair or whatever.
so. Yeah, there's more to be said than just the one simple fact. But anyway, there you have it, folks. I need a background, don't I?
That's a lovely little goblet, Doug. You know, if you held it in front of your chest, the blue would make a good background for it. Right there.
There you go.
That's easy enough. There we go. And when I get my other smock back, it'll be even better. That black with the red piping. This would
Oh,
look really good
right.
against. This would look
Right.
great against that.
You'll
But
have
I'll
to,
work on it to finish a little more. It's sanded. It's completely sanded. The bottom is all done, as you can see. I still have to put my engraving on the bottom, but I'll put some finish on this lower section, and it'll be done.
very
Got
nice.
some very
Doug.
nice. You've got some nice comments coming through here, Doug.
I
Yeah.
assume we've gotten all the questions handled.
Yes.
Okay. Well, folks, thank you so much. It's been a good afternoon. We got some things done. Got a decent goblet, nice repair. I think it's repaired, but I think I'm going to work on it some more. Even I can do that. So we'll work on that, get some finish on it, and we'll have everything in great shape.
And Zed's just said there
There we
he
go.
likes a nice goblet. It might be time to turn another one with this level of inspiration. There you go.
Good on you. I'm glad he inspired you.
Absolutely, absolutely. Wayne, thank you for being here. Ruby, thank you for
Hey,
being
no
here.
problem, Doug. Anytime.
All 50 or so folks in the chat, thank you guys for being here as well. We will, and the plan is I will see you next week. I hope you'll all be back. And until then, I hope you're able to spin around. Bye bye, everybody.
Night night.
Bye bye.